like everyone's connected. Seeing 6:06, I will call the joint, good evening, Tom. I will call the Joint Committee of Water Commission and Board of Public Works to order. Purpose of this commission is to define the job description and further to develop a committee for the selection of candidates for interview. So I'll do a roll call. Alex Fagnan.
Here. Present.
Joe Papalarczyk.
Here.
Tom Pereira.
Closer. You're getting closer every time. But yes, I'm here.
Brian Richards. Brian, can you hear me? Apparently not. Brian, you're not muted, so. Okay, I'm going to take the hand wave as a here. And if there's any issues with parliamentary procedure, please let me know, but I'm taking that. Oh, whoa, I can't hear anybody now.
Yeah, the mayor's muted, and I'm not sure Brian is.
Brian's trying to tell us he's having problems with the audio.
Okay. All right. And Ron Cole here. So we have 5 of 6. And first item on the agenda is approval of minutes dated. Going through my screen here. Minutes dated. Okay, I think they were in Word. Yes, minutes dated Thursday, March 2nd, 2023. It was 7 o'clock. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes that were here?
Yep.
Okay. Given that, can I hear a motion to approve minutes as presented?
Make a motion to approve the minutes, the March 22nd, 2023 minutes as stated or as written.
All right. So I'll take a roll call on that. Alex Fagnan?
Yes. You need a second on that?
Or second.
I'll give you a second.
And roll call. Alex?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Brian, you were not here. Ron? Yes. I would also like to take a moment to recognize that we have 2 guests, Mayor Mike McCabe, as well as Commissioner Mike Burns. I asked Mike to attend, given the fact that he's liaison, and I think it would help at least build some awareness. I believe that they wanted to have the job description available for the council meeting, which I believe is tomorrow evening, which clearly it won't be posted on the agenda, so it can't be discussed, but at least there would be some awareness on the part of council as it relates to the job, at least potential changes in job description as it was presented last. Now with that, Mike, I'm assuming that with the announcement of those, you would then be able to at least speak within the meeting?
Yeah, I think what happens is once you've made the announcement that there are people, invited guests to speak on the topics that I believe that they can speak, and it doesn't become a problem so long as they speak to the topic that they were invited for. And I think that we can clearly say that both Mike Burns, myself, and for that matter, Personnel Director Annie Larkham are obviously here to speak on the job description itself. So yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. With that, I'd like to open it up. Would you like to have any opening comments, either Mike or Mike Burns, on this, or shall we just proceed into discussion of the job descriptions presented? All right, I'll take the pregnant pauses. We'll just proceed it. All right, so next item on the agenda is discussion of the position of Director of Public Work. Deliberation and votes to include posting of position, job description, and creation of preliminary screening committee. So let's start with the job description. I believe everyone has, Ann sent out, and it was very helpful to have both the revised and the call it final draft copy. I'm going to refer to the, as it's written, draft with tracking notes on it so that folks can see what was changed from either something stricken and or something added. I believe, and I'm going to start on page 2 with halfway down the page, you can see something that we felt as a group would be beneficial for this person, or at least what their role would be to ensure collaboration. I'm going to read it. Ensure collaboration and alignment with all city departments according to need, particularly engineering department. I mean, Alex, I think this was something that you suggested, and I think it's a great suggestion, by the way. Does this capture the spirit of what you were looking for?
I think this does. I think it was, I like that it says all city departments, and we were zeroing in on engineering. They're such compatible functions, you know, they have their own missions and goals, but they really need to be working together. So I think this helps make everybody aware that's what we're expecting.
I liked it, honestly. I felt, Ann, you did a great job of capturing this, is what we're looking for. Joe or John, you were here last as well. Any change needed there, or do you think it captures what it is we were looking for?
No, I think it reads fine.
All right. So if we go down to page 3, one of the sentences there that we felt kind of maybe was a little too, call it, pointed in terms of what it is they might need to be doing, and in this case, this is probably something they wouldn't be. And it is really, you know, kind of a constricted space issue, and they probably wouldn't be heights. Climbing stairs, I think, is a need to get into the workspace of where the director would sit, at least currently where Dave sat. So I don't necessarily know, but maybe an ADA thing as well if we really push that. So does striking that meet, call it satisfaction on the part of the committee?
I think it would work because it would be, you're right about ADA. First, the one that got struck kind of limits it. This is more open, and it also leaves the you know, it open in case there has to be some kind of accommodation to it.
Okay, I agree, Brian. I think that's probably the only thing that really it'd be an accommodation that would need to be addressed if that candidate came before the board.
Right.
All right, and then the last section was the meat of where we spent most of our time a couple weeks ago around the degree. So what was struck was any reference to engineering, as well as master's degree preferred, additional engineering disciplines and business management be considered with requisite experience. So what was added was a directly related field required. So basically a bachelor's degree in a directly related field, no less than, and then reading from there, no less than 10 years progressively responsible supervisory and leadership experience in operations management required. So I'm going to stop there. So really the two key requirements are a bachelor's degree in a directly related field and no less than 10 years experience. And I like the wording progressively responsible supervisory and leadership. And then operations management was a point we also drove on. So I think I'll continue and then we can discuss it broadly. experience with a public works, wastewater, or water-related business or enterprise, as well as experience with collective bargaining, which is again another point that we had risen. Desired, not required. 5 years or more as a department head, executive director, or similar governmental experience with emphasis in municipal management. Desired, not required. So, with that said, do we feel that the way that this education and experience reads now, and I mean, if you want to flip over to the other one, we could probably see it, see it there, the way it reads. I mean, it's pretty concise, but I think it does hit on a lot of the things that we spoke about last time.
Ron,
Go ahead, Brian.
Unfortunately, I didn't make the last meeting, but I did watch the YouTube version of it. Thank you, Mike. And I read the notes today. So I think, the first couple of sentences are great. I mean, a bachelor's degree in a direct-related field. That's because I think, tons of people graduate from college and end up with a career that's not necessarily what they got their bachelor's degree is. But I think the important thing is somebody's had a progressively more experienced job in these fields. I think that's probably more important than the degree itself, because if they'd been in this field, I don't think they would have been able to stay in it if they hadn't had the qualifications, the engineering qualifications and stuff like that.
Brian, I'm sorry you weren't able to make the last one. What we are trying to do, because I think we all agree that the individual we're trying to hire for this needs to be basically a manager. And basically the folks that are reporting to him or her have the expertise that can be called upon to run those respective departments. So you think about water, wastewater, even DPW, all of those folks that are in, they call it the superintendent's roles, or I believe we all think that those would be obviously the individuals. And honestly, if this person is hired from outside the city, it's going to take a year for that person just to get up to speed, honestly, to get comfortable with the job, to get comfortable with the council, to get comfortable with all aspects of the, so, I mean, and I'm speaking directly from experience.
Yeah, I know, I agree. Like I said, it's very good. The first two sentences are good. I just had a thought, and you can discuss this or not discuss it or whatever. Starting with the third sentences, experience with public works. And I think there's a lot of people that would have experience that may not necessarily be public. It could also be from private industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, public or private works with these kind of, experiences. And on the last sentence, the head executive director, you could put that in there, or head director of a public or private utility, for 5 years more, department head executive of a private or a operation or a public operation. I mean, I think we don't want to exclude people that didn't necessarily come from the municipal side if they've been working on the private side and they've had the same kind of experience, I guess.
And again, I think the desired on that, and guys, I really I want to make sure that we're all aligned. But I think the desired on that, Brian, would satisfy that, meaning it's desired, but not required.
And I'm good if we think that. I just I don't want it to go to council and then get it kicked back because they're reading it somewhat different than what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've got fairly strong opinions on some of these things. So I think the more definitive we can be on some of those things, the less chance it has of getting kicked back to us again.
Mike, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. do you have a sense of what council is going, how council will react to these changes? And it's really specific to this paragraph. It's really education and experience. Our hope is that this is going to satisfy generally what what council will accept as a candidate. I think the first two sentences, from a required standpoint, should qualify the candidate as far as what council was looking for. But I'm going to stop there and see if you have a point of view, Mike Burns.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I can't get the picture up, but I can't get involved with that right now. But if you guys can get together tonight and get a job description and get it to Caitlin in the morning, we can have it on the agenda for tomorrow evening. If that works for you guys, for everybody. And then what we will do is if there's a problem with it or whatever, what I'd like to do, and we can do this, I assume, or I assume I already checked into it. We can meet as a city council and a joint commission to resolve any discrepancies on there. As far as the job description, have at it. I mean, I don't want to recommend anything. I don't want any, open meeting violations here. And I'm on the other committee. I'm on the city council, so that makes a difference. But whatever you come up with tonight, hey, we'll get, if you get it to her tomorrow morning, we'll get it on immediate consideration for tomorrow evening.
Doesn't it have to be 24 hours?
She said, I talked to Caitlin, I just got off the phone with her, and she said, if we get it, we can amend it tomorrow. We can take it on as immediate consideration anyways. Mayor can come in with something that morning and be on there in the mayor meeting. But that's if all 13 of us vote to accept it. My new puppy. So,
So I've been quiet for obvious reasons. Mike, can I jump in?
absolutely, Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
My only concern with this process, first of all, this is all predicated that I'm here tomorrow morning and I'm not. So there's that. I'll figure it out, but I'm not here. I'm in Springfield at 8:30. So I have two concerns. And I was kind of hoping, Mike, that you'd actually be able to touch on the first concern, which is, I think the master stroke that Ron Cole was kind of hoping that if you read you in early, you might be able to offer some guidance, but clearly that's that presents with, I guess, a little bit of a conflict. When I remember this getting batted around several times, this was really being batted around during the height of PFAS, if I remember correctly, and that there was a major concern on behalf of the council that really we wanted somebody with a civil or environmental engineering background that could handle navigate the waters, if you will, of PFAS and PFOS and blah, 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 blah. So my worry is that if you didn't tacitly still name those as desirable kinds of things, that it might not get through the council process. So I think really what I'm suggesting is, in order to make it amenable to the council, that you could actually stay with most of the language that you have. Bachelor's degree required and a degree in civil, environmental, whatever degrees, because I agree with you, Ron, this is definitely an MBA position. This is a business administrative position. It is not really, you don't need to be a physicist to run the DPW or water, but you do have to be a business manager. So that was one of my worries. But the other worry was, I'm going to read you something verbatim and you see if it makes sense to you. Just because it didn't make sense to me. Here we go. Ready? No less than 10 years progressively responsible supervisory and leadership experience in operations management required. I'm not really sure what that means. I think I know what it wants to mean, but I'm not really sure if I don't know if that language is is correct. Progressively responsible supervisory and leadership experience. It just seems to me that those 5 words that go together are kind of disjointed. They don't, I don't know, just me. But when you asked if I had any opening comments, I do, but I wanted to keep quiet. I'm thrilled that all of us are here tonight. I thank you very much for allowing both Mike and I to be here. I appreciate it. And if there's something I can help you with, things like the proposed salary ranges that are in budgets, I'm more than happy to help you with that. But those are my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My hope, and I can answer one, or I can at least speak to the PFAS expertise. I would tell you that our expert, and I think she's probably one of the standing experts now on PFAS, would be Heather. I think she is more than capable of fielding whatever needs we have as a city as it relates to PFAS regulation, and her ability to stay in front of regulatory and, as late as, and I can't exactly remember the issue. It's the Water Resource Management Act or something. You guys, Joe or actually John, speak to what I'm talking about. But again, she is she knows more about PFAS and water regulatory environment than, so that person, I think, should satisfy council's need for that expertise. And that's my point of view. And having worked with her now for, I don't know, exceeding 5 years, she has become that person in my mind. She would be the person I would call as it relates to anything, PFAS related.
No, I absolutely agree with you. There's no question that, if you hire the right people in subordinate roles, which is why it's a management position, it's not a scientist position, that you can accomplish the task that you're trying to get to. But I do remember this particular council, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is exactly the same council as the last council. They didn't change to a person. So the same 13 people you have now is the same 13 people that were there in 2021. And there was some real back and forth over whether or not they wanted to have these types of degrees specifically articulated in the language of the job description. And they were having none of trying to not have it as part of the language of the job description. So it's just cautionary. It's not, I agree with what you got written. I think that it's what you got is pretty good.
Well, hey, Ron,
Go
could we
ahead, Ron.
could it be, a bachelor's degree directly related for required, or, some kind of engineering degree preferred? That leaves it open a little bit, but I mean, as far as the city council goes, how many failed things do we have to have? If we can't come to some kind of agreement, we're going to be back in the same spot over and over again. It's just like, doing the same things over and over again.
I mean, I think it'd be, right, for the group, I think it'd be as easy as if you look at the draft or the with revision or tracking file. If you basically put after the required comma, degree in civil engineering, civil or chemical engineering preferred. I mean, that would at least get the language back, but not require it.
Yeah, so it'd be bachelor's degree required, civil engineering or engineering degree preferred, so let's put the required part first and the preferred part second.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be right after the bachelor's degree in a directly related field required, degree in civil and or chemical engineering preferred.
Yeah. Because I think, after having gone through the last round, I think obviously management skills is something that has to be part of the whole process this time. we can't have people, I mean, we can have people apply, but if we place somebody in that's never had any management experience, have never run an organization or something like that, or at least at a level where they're responsible for people, I just don't think that that's going to turn out good in the end.
Ron, can I add something here? I guess I got two comments. One, I'm just going to say it's my personal belief. I know I'm running uphill on this one, but you know, our interim director is in my mind the best candidate out there, and unfortunately we seem to have a barrier here with the degree issue, and that is what it is, and I'm not going to beat that drum further because I understand that we've got our headway here with the degree requirement. So looking over to the Holyoke posting that was recently successful, you know, they did something interesting where they went with a progressive increase in years of experience if the degree was less favorable in the process. But to me, that captured the essence of what we talked about, you know, last time, because we were really harping on we want to make sure we get an experienced candidate who's got a public works background, who can manage a department. You know, yeah, the degree would be good, and your ideal candidate maybe is an engineer with a license, you know, who's also got 15 years of DPW experience. But I think we're seeing that those candidates are you know, they haven't been there yet. You know, so they kind of step, yeah, exactly. They kind of stepped you know, it was shall have received a bachelor's degree and with 10 years of relevant upper level administrative experience, which is kind of what we're saying at this point in time. Then they said, or an associate degree with 12 years of relevant upper level administrative experience. And then a college degree may be substituted with 15 years of experience. So that was the way they built in a progressive, you know, as the experience increased and the ability to do the job was evident because they've been doing it somewhere else, they lowered that you know, education requirement. So you were still protecting yourself by making sure you're getting a qualified candidate, but you weren't hanging your hat on this, in my mind, fairly arbitrary college degree requirement. So I know I haven't been through this process with this group a couple times, so maybe I'm a little idealistic sitting here, but that's also how I generally feel about this. And that comes back to my thoughts and feelings that this is a management role. And I'm not looking for, you know, a scientist or an engineer necessarily if we've got somebody with the relevant experience, because I think we've got good people within the department. And I think that's the way this is supposed to run, is with those people's expertise. So.
Hey, Ryan.
Go ahead, Brian.
Thanks, Alex. You know, a lot of that I agree with. I think we're going to have to at least come part of the way. Having sat in front of the committee that actually passes this judgment from the city council on this particular job description, you're going to find if it will at least put a preferred thing in there that the mayor was talking about. I think we're going to be back here having a debate on this job description again. That, I mean, is that's just the plain facts in life. So I think we need to at least, even if it's not something that we would care 100% to do, so at least put that you know, preferred thing in there, at least that we could have a conversation in with the city council.
And Brian, I'm willing to go there and take the advice of the group here that's been through it. The mayor said similar things, so you know, I'm not going to be the one standing here beating my chest stopping this process, but
Joe or John?
I agree with Alex, and I'm sorry, John has notified me he's on the call but can't get off of mute. So I just haven't had a chance to relay that until now.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, John, for the delay.
I feel
But,
bad. We should have a chat box, but we can't.
yeah. I agree with Alex. I don't think this person necessarily needs to be a super technical person. I think the managerial component of it is honestly the stronger and the people skills. But at the same time, Brian, I agree. You know, we've gone through this before, and I know there's a concern of that, you know, this person having technical capabilities. Although again, I would agree, you know, this person will have a strong department strong departments behind them to handle those specific technical aspects. You know, we talk about Heather, which I agree, Ron. You know, she's great. She's obviously been knee deep in this for a long time. And honestly, you know, Jeff will be soon. So we'll have technical experts on both sides, water and wastewater, within the community. So if adding the, you know, preferred after the bachelor's degree required for a civil or environmental, chemical, you know, any of those three, you know, that's fine by me. You know, again, I don't think it's necessarily the key to the position, but
Even mechanical. I mean, any one of those degree fields would be, you know, even mechanical would work for
So,
what our needs are.
Ron, how specified do you have to be, Ron? Does it have to be each level of engineering? Could it just say engineering? I mean, does it need to be?
I would say you
Okay.
could say engineering because we're not pursuing a professional engineer, right?
Okay.
That's not the intent. Because we
So just-
removed that part of the job description a long time ago.
So just put plain engineering in?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, now that you can speak, John, do you, anything you would like to add to this discussion?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you were just discussing. I think, you know, if we're going to have the bachelor's requirement, if we just have a general clause after that, saying, you know, engineering preferred, I think that's fine. I like you guys were saying, I don't think it matters whether it's chemical, civil, environmental. The management experience, I think, is most important for this, and a lot of the other administrative tasks that go along with the position. We have expertise, you know, elsewhere, you know, to get in the weeds with other issues. So I don't think we're necessarily looking for this person to do that, but I think we need somebody who presents well in a public forum, and, you know, a really good communicator, a good people person, I think is really what we need in this role.
Well, and Alex, I certainly appreciate, and I now see the point where you were, or the within the Holyoke job description, the paragraph relating to that. This was a very spirited, and I wouldn't even say debate. It came as a mandate from City Council. So I don't really want, I think if we don't have the bachelor degree requirement, clearly stated requirement, there's no way this is going to get through the next go around without another extensive delay, which I think we're trying to avoid.
Can we try skinning the cat maybe a different way? It's the same thing, but just in a little different way. How about instead of saying education and experience, we say experience and education? Because it's really we really want the experience. That's really what's driving this bus, right? And then you start with no less than 10 years progressively responsible supervisory, and then bachelor's degree required, and then in a specific field preferred, because that really puts the onus on where you want it to be. I don't think anybody in this room really gives a rat's fanny. I did it, Joe. A rat's fanny about the specific degree requirement. What everybody really wants is that we can assure that the DPW is led by somebody who has all the expertise and skills in business management and the management of people. We're not, you know, I don't know about you, but my guess is nobody really cares about chemical and civil and engineering, other than the fact that we're trying to say, look, we get why you want it at City Council. We've included in what we want, but we really believe that if you're going to lead a department of 60 to 70 people, you have to have business management skills moreover than the, you know, a chemical degree or a civil engineering degree or something like that. Just a suggestion.
No, I like it. I think it makes complete sense, Mike, because that honestly, you hit it on the head. we want experience. We want someone who can lead people, who can run a run a big organization. Well, I'll be honest, as big as it gets for us, other than the school system. So I'm fine with that. I tried crafting, and I think I understand what you were saying about the that second sentence. There's a lot going on in there.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. And I basically, here's what I wrote: a minimum of 10 years supervisory and leadership experience in an operations management position required.
That works. I think it works. So I looked up the actual language of progressively responsible supervisory, and it does talk about, it connotes something a little bit differently. What it's trying to get across is that the individual has sought out consistently higher levels of supervision in this progressive supervisory management. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about what you just said. You're looking for supervisory experience and leadership of more than like 2 people. I don't know how you say that, by the way.
Right.
Right. So, maybe that's where that department head comes in a little bit later on. So,
Yeah.
That sounds good to me to do it that way. The only thing I would say on that last sentence is to make head executive director of a governmental or private operation, because I think you don't want to be excluding people that do the same thing in private industry.
Given that we have some changes that we're seeking here, I do not believe we would have something that we could present to city council tomorrow morning. Would that be?
I'm going to go offline, Ron. Let me interrupt you a second. I'm going to go offline for 30 seconds. I'm going to retype something. I'm going to send it. Can you screen share?
Yes.
I'll send it to you, and you can screen share it, and then hopefully it will capture what everybody's trying to get to, and then maybe we will have something for tomorrow. Don't laugh at my typing skills. It's like Tora, if you remember.
The clock is ticking.
Okay, Mike. I don't have the Word document, so I could probably do it faster.
Yeah, I'm on a cell phone, so I'm not really.
So it's more fun this way. I mean, if we knew, we could have had Peter cue up the Jeopardy music for this, and it would have been a whole thing.
I guarantee you Peter has it in his wave files. Or he'll find it.
Nothing like a little added pressure.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you want to take another item off the agenda, get back to me. I'll be right back. Don't make me sweat this out.
So,
Well, okay.
Ron, can we, I know we're kind of jumping ahead of the thing here, but Ann sent out the thing about the formation of the committee.
Yes.
And I think you answered, and I think I'm good with doing that. If we could possibly, besides Dave, get another, and I guess Mark is in, or if he's been asked, somebody else, another person, another department head that interacts, that would be a good thing. And we'll see what happens.
All right. So Annie, she had homework of seeing or soliciting potential, and Annie, please appreciate my humor, victims for, because that's the way this has gone, for the screening committee. Did you get any sense for who we were thinking about and their willingness?
I reached out to Mark Quasati, and he indicated that he was more than happy to help out. I reached out to Peter Miller, who did not respond. So that may be an indication that he's either not interested or just really tied down. I reached out to Tammy Taft. She indicated that she was willing to help out. I think those were the only people you had mentioned in your meeting last time. So that's who I was able to get.
Okay.
Is there anybody from the G&E, any engineers that interface with DPW and stuff like that?
We don't. I would tell you that on water, we don't generally. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, John. We have very little interaction with G&E. If we need a wire moved or
Yeah.
power brought,
I would think on the roads they must.
but I don't know if they've. We're a red-haired stepchild.
But it's just something to think about anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we're probably going to have another meeting to, once we get the
All right, so
final draft.
I would like to enlist Mark and Tammy, given the fact that they have fairly direct interaction with this group. I think they bring value. I'm more than I'm more than willing to. I think we need one member each from DPW and water wastewater. I'm more than willing to do it for water wastewater. I will also offer it up to my peers on water wastewater if they have a strong opinion that they would like to do this. I'm more than willing to relinquish this 2-year journey.
Ron, it's like I know Tom and Alan both work, so I'm semi-retired, so I'd be able to do that for the DPW side. If that's it, unless somebody else has a burning desire, like you said,
Ron, as long as you're okay with it, I appreciate the offer. Well, I'd love to do it. It's just there's a lot going on. So
Yes, I
if you don't
understand.
mind, I'd appreciate it.
I don't, and I'm not looking for limelight. And I'm somewhat like Brian that I do have time. I will say in absolute transparency, I will be gone for 2 weeks, starting tomorrow, returning at the end of March. So I will not be able to do anything live. I could reconvene over Zoom, but I'm going to be 2 time zones away.
I think that works in this day and age anyway.
Yeah.
I also don't know if we're going to get people to screen over the next couple weeks here anyway.
No.
Right. I imagine that would probably be the first meeting is once
we get candidates.
Yeah. Right.
John,
Plus, are we going outside on this at all? Or is everything, in terms of headhunters or anything like that, I didn't even know if we've done it in the past.
we talked about that a little bit, Brian, at the last meeting, and at this point, I think we wanted to continue on the process the way we've been doing in the past.
Okay.
And post it and see what we get.
Okay.
I think Annie was comfortable, or at least suggested that as our first step.
Okay.
I guess let me just echo Joe on
Go
the
ahead.
public works
Sorry, Alex.
side, but I'm happy and appreciative to accept Brian's offer as well to sit on the committee for similar reasons. So thank you, Brian. I'm not gonna jump up and down and demand that I'm the one. So
Yeah, same here, Ron. With your time availability other than what you just disclosed, no feelings hurt on my end.
All right. So at least we got something accomplished, Mike.
All right, so we need one more to create a 5-member quorum.
I started this thing. I'd really like to see it through, to be honest, guys.
So again, I'll let you, Brian and Tom, you can arm wrestle.
I'm not going to be heartbroken. I was just saying that I've been there since the beginning, so I kind of.
So
could Tom be the fifth?
Could he be the fifth? Yeah, that's not a quorum.
Yeah.
Who said that anyway? I can't tell. Was that Alex?
Tom did. Tom.
Tom, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, 5 is probably a good, you're to have a, odd number anyway.
We need a tiebreaker, correct?
Tiebreaker, yep.
Yeah, so that could in theory be the committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Annie, is there any issue with two members from water or from DPW? I as chair of this don't have any. I just want to make sure that we have.
I don't think so because it's the joint board. So there's 6 of you on the joint board. So my quorum is 4. I guess I'm a little confused on exactly who the members would be. Ron, Brian, Tom, myself, and who is the last
Oh,
member?
I'm sorry, I
Mark.
forgot. Okay,
Mark?
yeah, let's
That
do
would be my
that.
recommendation too, Brian. Yeah.
Mark,
Sorry, Annie, I forgot. So yes,
that's okay.
I would, so the 5-member committee would be Brian, Tom, Mark Rosati, yourself, and me.
Okay, got it.
And I guess let Tammy know that we appreciate her willingness
Absolutely.
as well.
Well, she
Awesome.
won't be brokenhearted, believe me. She's more than willing to help, but she won't be brokenhearted.
All right. So with that, and while Mike's still pecking away, can someone make a motion to establish the preliminary screening committee with those members? As okay.
So I have a question while that's before you take your vote. Annie Larkham, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
So the rules of the screening committee. Is there an understanding that there's no application that will get to the screening committee unless the applicant meets all of the requirements necessary to fulfill the job description?
Yes, I believe the personnel department reviews the initial applications to make sure that they meet minimum qualifications, and then those applications are forwarded to the committee. I believe that's how it was handled the last time. I would need to verify as I was not on board with that, but I think that's how it was handled, and that's what we anticipate how it would be handled for this round too.
Okay, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful of what happened in the past, but I think it's absolutely imperative that to the integrity of this screening process is that if we put up a job description and we get applicants to the job description, that the only applicants that get proffered through to the screening committee are those that meet the requirements of the job description. And I'm not necessarily sure that that's always been how it's happened historically. I hope I said that politely enough, but.
You did.
You did.
Yep, that's my goal, Mayor, to going forward. That's how it will be handled for every position within the city.
Thank you. Annie, that's not a shot to you, I promise.
get
And
it.
Ron, you should have your document.
I do. I'm going to share it.
Why don't I give you a second on Brian's motion? We'll take a vote and close that item.
Okay. Okay, so I will take roll call. Alex,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Ron. Or sorry, John
Yes.
and Ron, yes. So that motion passes for the screening committee. And I'm going to share. Try to share. All right. Oh, there it is. So I'm assuming you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So
Yeah,
this
let's see it
would,
when I'm on
it's,
phone.
okay, I'll read it, Tom, or I'll read it, Mike, John, sorry. Experience
worries.
in education. So the only change to the job description as written or as presented this evening would be the last paragraph.
Well, the next to the last sentence will have a similar public or private experience. That changed too.
Um,
which I suggested.
No, what I think Ron was trying to say is there's no other changes throughout the whole thing other than this one.
Oh, I'm
paragraph.
sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
I misunderstood. My bad.
Okay. So John, I'll read it so you can at least vote on it. It reads education and experience. I'm sorry, experience and education versus education and experience. No less than 10 years of supervisory and leadership experience in operations management required. Experience with public works, wastewater, water-related business or enterprise, as well as experience with collective bargaining units desired. 5 years or more as a department head, executive director, or similar public or private experience with an emphasis on municipal management desired. A bachelor's degree is required, and in a field of science or engineering is preferred.
Now, I can amend that any way you want from here, so, because it's up on my other screen, so.
That reads fine to me.
So,
Specifically also adding in the highlight of the private industry. The one thing, yeah, I think
Would it
that reads
make-
fine to me.
would it make a difference if it says public works or utilities? Does that make any chance, or that doesn't really add anything to it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But that's my opinion. It did, Brian, I want to make sure it did capture the point you wanted to make about the 5 years experience, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Right. And I agree. I think it does that.
Okay, we're good. I'm good with this.
I agree. Me too.
Yeah, I'm good with it as well.
So, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a motion to accept the job description. And tell me if we can do this. Accept the job description as written as presented this evening, with the exception and the expectation that this education and experience will replace. I'm sorry, this experience and education will replace the education and experience at the bottom of page 3 on the submitted document.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. And then hopefully that can be, based on what Mike Burns said, that can be presented at tomorrow's city council meeting for immediate consideration.
Hey, Ron, and yeah, he was talking about doing a joint, I mean, that's kind of, that's gonna be a hard thing to do, get a joint meeting
No.
of both councils tomorrow at
I-
this late date.
Brian, no, I don't think we would need to attend that meeting.
Okay, all right.
The expectation was not that we were going to be there.
Okay, all right, I just was a little fuzzy when he said there, whether
Yeah.
that was,
I think that, Mr. Chair, if I could, I think the joint meeting idea is if this doesn't make it through council
Yes.
tomorrow, then potentially we would call a joint meeting so we all sit
Yes.
around and discuss it.
okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
good.
my understanding. Okay. All right. So can I hear a motion that I just basically spoke as it relates to the job description, item B in our agenda?
I'll give you a crack at it. You can strike it down if it doesn't work, but I'll give you a motion that we accept the job description as presented by personnel this evening, with the exception of we would like to put forth the education or the experience in education section that was discussed during the meeting and agreed to by the board in session
In replace of the,
in replacement of the education and experience section that was
Right.
originally presented.
so moved.
And do I hear a second? Someone
Second.
done. Okay. I will do a roll call. Alex,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes,
Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and Ron Cole, yes. And no, guys, that I'm using first names because I can never get Tom's right.
You're getting closer though.
All right, I believe that's all that we had on the agenda. I want to thank the mayor and Mike Burns for attending. I really appreciate, and the fact that we were able to actually able to ad hoc make this change without having to have another meeting and get this in the hands of city council for tomorrow. So I really want to thank both of those individuals for their participation and and for having a full quorum of both boards as well. So I know it took a little challenge, but we're here. Do I hear anything further to discuss before we close the meeting?
Just want to say thank you, gentlemen, for your invitation, and Annie, thank you for what you do. I will try to circle back around in the morning to figure out what to do in terms of, the technical aspects of how to get this in the hands of the city clerk, and I'll make sure that that happens.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Ron,
Yes, Mike.
I'd like to thank everybody tonight. You guys, you were impressive, really were. And I'm going to do everything I can to, we get it tomorrow. I'll bring it before the city council. But I want to thank each and every
Thanks,
one of
Mike.
you. I've been in your seats there. I know for a long time. And, I know it's your volunteers, but thanks a lot. I appreciate it tonight. And, you too, Mr. Mayor, and Annie also. And we'll get this thing done one way or another. Again, thanks.
One question for Annie. Annie, do you need me to forward that back to you, or did Mike copy you on that?
I don't need it. I took a screenshot after you had approved it, so I'll be able to put that together. I think I actually might put that together and email that off as one document to the mayor tonight. I am also out of the office for the entire morning, so I'll get that off to the mayor tonight so that he can take care of it in the morning.
All right. Thank you all. Do I hear a motion to adjourn at 7:03 of this joint?
So
meeting?
moved.
Second.
All in favor? Alex?
Aye.
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Ron? Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.